Now on 767 News, a staggering 45 cases of sexual misconduct reported so far for the year 2015, but officials says unreported cases are of more concern. 100% portable water coverage anticipated for September of 2015, and Chairman of Public Works Board of Directors defends not signing MOU on Public Works Corporation issues. In sports, DFA President expresses satisfaction with Go-To project. Welcome everyone, I'm Alicia George and you're watching 767 News. Stay tuned for the latest stories and updates coming up after this break.
I love family traditions, don't you? The fun you have when you're all together, preparing a meal that you'll all enjoy. Having the right kitchen appliances help bring it all together, and you can find them at Quartz. Appliances that give you more, fridges that keep food fresher, stoves that cook meals better. At Quartz, you get the world's best brands at the best prices. I love that, and you will too. For small and large kitchen appliances, Quartz, bringing value home.
Thanks for joining me on tonight's edition of 767 News. First up this news time, 45 persons have been reported to be sexually violated so far this year. This staggering number of reports was revealed during the first in a series of town hall meetings organized by the non-government organization NGO Coalition. Several persons turned out on Wednesday evening to show solidarity for the promotion of a society where children are free from sexual violence. Police Public Relations Officer ASP Claude Wicks, speaking in his capacity as a child advocate, revealed that on average 10 sexual offense claims are reported to police each month. However, what is of greater concern, he said, is the cases which are not being reported because of the culture of silence that exists in Dominica.
We must not leave out half of that. In other words, that those that are unreported, and that is where we have the major problem, as a result of which our children will continue to suffer, bearing in mind the perpetual wreck that they can come to or precipitate into. It destroys their school career, as you know. Of course, they perhaps will never be able to hold on to a proper family, so the family is being sustained as dysfunctional.
ASP Wicks made a number of suggestions to effectively deal with the increased cases of child sexual abuse, to include church intervention and legislative reform.
There should be a mandatory sentence for that, and that is whether the person pleads guilty or not. You hear lawyers talk about mitigation and so on. That's fine, and temper justice with mercy. But you also have to think of the victim and the public interest. In my view, over the years, is the tardation or the retardation of these cases the protracted delays in the courtroom. That's number one. I can tell you about it, and I can speak with authority on it. Thank God that there is paper committal now, so it will assist in expediting these cases.
ASP Wicks is of the view that a trial of sexual offense cases should be dealt with within 9 months to a year. Meanwhile, Sir Brian Allen, former acting Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, asked everyone in the audience to stand as a representation of the number of claims of child sexual abuse which was reported in 2014. Although more than 30 persons stood up, the number was significantly lower than that of reported cases of 135 based on statistics gathered from the Criminal Investigation Department, CID.
These figures are important because they illustrate to us the fact that there is a very serious problem arising concerning the sexual abuse of the helpless. Because we're talking about children who cannot help themselves, who are very often, I suspect, abused by persons who are responsible for them. and who should be taking care of them rather than abusing them.
A few weeks ago, the public was frantic by the results of a case involving a man who was sentenced to 8 years in prison for sexually violating 3 children under the age of 10 years old, 2 of which he had violated over the course of 1 day. Sir Aline believes the public was rightfully outraged by the verdict and suggested outreach to the judiciary so that they are aware of the seriousness of the problem of child sexual abuse in relation to the current legislation. Just recently, Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit agreed that there is a need to review the legislation of child sexual abuse. Today, Thursday, a memorial service was held for 28 people who died when a truck plunged over a precipice along the road leading to the village of Mount Prosper. 40 years ago today, 28 men, women and children flung to their deaths on their way to the Pentecostal Christ is the Answer crusade at Windsor Park in Roseau. There were 35 passengers aboard the truck, which spun out of control minutes after it left the community and shot over a precipice. Throughout the night and the following day, police officers, firemen, defense force personnel and volunteers searched for the bodies of the victims. The bodies were loaded onto trucks and taken to the Red Cross headquarters on Federation Drive in Goodwill, where they were laid out for identification and preparation for burial. In those days, there were no funeral homes and burials had to take place within 24 hours of death, if not sooner. Prisoners worked feverishly to make enough coffins out of whatever wood was available for burial. The following afternoon on May 22, 1975. 2 huge funerals were held in Roseau, one at the Roman Catholic Cathedral and the other at the Pentecostal Church. Individual graves could not be dug in time, so excavating machines dug out 2 long trenches, one at the public cemetery and the other at the Catholic cemetery, to lay the coffins and then cover them altogether. In other stories, the chairman of the Board of Directors of the Public Works Corporation, PWC, Titus Francis, has clarified the board's decision not to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Dominica Public Service Union on Tuesday, May 19th. Francis said the contents of the proposed MOU drafted by the DPSU could put the corporation in financial difficulty. The board's decision not to sign the MOU resulted in the recommencement of protest action on Wednesday by the disgruntled employees of the Public Works Corporation.
You are, I guess, representative of the employees. The Public Service Union itself was there, and the management of the corporation, including directors as well. I think the mood suggests a good compromise.
That was Francis, who spoke to the media following a meeting with the DPSU on Thursday, May 14th, at which the MOU was conceptualized. He said the Board of Directors cannot commit to the contents of the proposed MOU at this time, citing the points that have been outlined in the MOU for resolution are issues that the Board of Directors themselves are concerned about. Francis said the directors felt that the terms in resolving those issues somehow, if they were to commit themselves to those terms, could have legal implications for the corporation moving forward. He added, although the corporation is seeking to resolve the issue of outstanding salaries and wages, it cannot commit to a specific time. Francis said the corporation has exhausted all its options in obtaining funds to pay the employees, and that discussions are ongoing to restructure the organization, which will result in layoffs. However, General Secretary of the Dominica Public Service Union, Thomas Later, said once the MOU is signed and the Board of Directors fulfill its obligations, the issues at the corporation will be resolved.
What has happened is that Public Works Corporation has come under a lot of criticism, but people, they haven't had anyone to really stand from management and from the board to say, look, this is not so. And we are going through what we are going because of A, B, C, and D. I think that is what the employees are saying. They are saying, look, in spite of all what they're going through, in spite of the hard work, nobody has been out there to really clear their names. Apart from what the union is doing, nobody has been out there to really clear their names on some of the allegations that are being made about them.
He noted, however, he is of the view that the board has not convinced the government on the necessary action needed to be taken to move the corporation forward. Some of the details of the MOU include a deadline of Friday, May 29, 2015 for the payment of salaries and wages of the PwC employees, and if this is not worthy of consideration, to inform the union as soon as possible. It explains that by Monday, June 1st, 2015, the parties shall commence negotiations with respect to salaries and wages revision and other terms and conditions of employment. The MOU also states that by Friday, June 5th, 2015, management of the PwC shall provide the union with arrangements made with the Dominica Social Security to pay all outstanding contributions on behalf of the employees. It also states that by Tuesday, June 30th, 2015, the union should receive any proposal developed by the management of the PwC as it relates to staff restructuring. Protest action at the corporation continues. Up next, 100% portable water coverage anticipated for September of 2015, and police force says weapons and ammunitions used in Salisbury protests meets UN and international standards. More details when 767 News returns.
A test of character, a test of focus, a test of will, a test of resilience, a test of courage.
Dominica, it's on. West Indies versus Australia, June 3rd to 7th at Windsor Park.
Tell them that it's on.
Count your Thursdays and win up to $24,000 in cash. For every $9 spent on Big 4, you get a raffle ticket to enter our weekly draws to win $4,000 cash every Thursday for 6 weeks. The more you spend, the more tickets you get, the better your chances of winning every Thursday. That's $24,000 in cash. So play Big 4, count your Thursdays and win up to $24,000 in cash. Only from the Dominica National Lottery. Promotion starts from February 24th to April 2nd.
Welcome back. Media personnel were invited to witness ongoing work on several water projects across Dominica on Wednesday as part of ministerial visits organized by the various government ministries. The field visit began at Savan in Scotshead and culminated at Bells. Along the way, media representatives were given an update on the challenges and progress on a number of the projects. Dowasco Public Relations Officer Senator Edward Regis told media that before the water project in Savan commenced, villagers complained about water outages and low water pressure.
A number of things were done to try to improve the supply of water to the residents, different projects. However, this last project where the government of Dominica invested $1.6 million is the one that has really brought some level of relief. And the whole idea was to find a new intake, a new water source, and then to build a 30,000 imperial gallon storage tank, which we just visited.
The pump house for that project was also upgraded to provide residents who live further up the area with higher elevations of electricity and water. Projects in the Bells and Pawcasset areas are nearly complete, while work on the extension to Sylvania and other areas have just begun, according to Bernard Etinoff, General Manager of Dowasco.
Most of the works in the Bells area, the Pawcasset area, are almost complete. I would say 90% complete. But the extensions to Sylvania, to Despot, to Sultan and Layu Park are now beginning. So hence the overall completion is about 70%. We do hope by sometime around end of August, mid-September, there'll be total completion. And that is one of the last areas that we need to bring water to in Dominica that has not currently been served by Dowasco.
Etinoff said upon completion, scheduled for sometime in September of 2015, these projects will take Dominica to near 100% potable water coverage. Water projects in Grand Savan and Salisbury, which had been delayed for several months, are now nearly complete.
The people of Grand Savan had never been served by the Dowasco water system. We're now constructing a system there for the Grand Savannah area, which includes a storage tank, the water reticulation network, the pipe network then, the road to access the storage tank and so forth at a cost of about $2.5 million provided by the government of Dominica. That should be completed at the end of this month. We're talking about a week from now. We should see people in the Grand Savannah area beginning to get connection so that by the middle of June, people in Grand Savannah will be fully served by that system.
Etinoff named inclement weather conditions and unavailability of materials needed for sealing the tanks as deterrents for the delay in completion of those projects. Government and DOWASCO officials also visited the water tank projects in Union Estate, Point Michelle and Canefield. Construction of strategic water tanks across the island is the government of Dominica's efforts at achieving Goal 7C of the United Nations Millennium Development Goals. That goal requires that countries of the world reduce by half the proportion of the population without sustainable access to potable water and sanitation by the year 2015. In more stories, the police force has broken its silence on allegations brought about by attorney Tiani B. Hansen that the tear gas used by law enforcement officers to bring an end to the protest in Salisbury on Monday, May 11th, had expired, making them toxic and posing health concerns to those exposed. On Wednesday, Police Public Relations Officer ASP Claude Wicks released a statement saying that the ammunition used fall under the United Nations Conventions and international law. ASP Wicks said the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force did not use weapons of mass destruction, chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear weapons, or white-burning phosphorus.
This is not new to us. These kinds of types of activity and all that falls under the bracket for the police to exercise its function. Remember, despite all of what was happening, we had to engage in a law enforcement solution, and that is what we sought to do. Indeed, this situation became very violent. The illegal activity whereby the roads, the main artery of road on the E.O. Libna Highway, that's the junction, the Salisbury junction, and the main road was blocked with all kinds of things.
ASP Wicks said the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force has by law an arsenal of weapons and ammunition in compliance with United Nations conventions and international law. According to him, the police force had to deal with the riotous mob at Salisbury, and in doing so, they used force that was necessary, reasonable, lawful, and justifiable in the circumstances.
That kind of activity indeed is illegal with respect to the blocking of the road, and as we said, it's been public artery and preventing or impeding the flow of a complete stoppage of traffic and normal activities, with respect to the general public. And bearing in mind that it is an illegal activity, from the police perspective, our duty is to have ensured that we took control and unblock the road so that it became passable, so that the normal course of life could continue.
ASP Wicks said the police force does not look to having any confrontation with the citizenry, as it is a civilian force, not a military. However, the police force must deal with acts of lawlessness whenever they arise. As by law, they are mandated to do so.
To be very honest, as I said, the exercise of our function was not with respect to the exercise of a political decision or political activity. Our focal point here was with respect to a law enforcement activity or a law enforcement solution to the problem, where indeed we had to unblock the road. And traffic falls under our remit as police officers, whether you work in the traffic department or not. And our duty as well is to ensure that the citizenry can execute its function without fear or the threat of fear. And with this kind of volatile situation, indeed, we had to minimize that impact And that we did.
ASP Week said 4 police officers were injured by projectiles hurled at them by protesters while carrying out their duties in bringing an end to the protest and unblocking the road. And with the Jazz and Creole event coming up this weekend, the Discover Dominica Authority, DDA, gave a final update on the event during a press conference on Thursday. CEO of DDA, Colin Piper, said following a week of fringe events, they are presently finalizing preparations at the Cabritz National Park for the main stage event on Sunday.
We're in the throes of it. I normally say I do a kind of check to figure out if we have any showstoppers, and if anyone would like to go to Fort Shirley, we'll see that the stage is up, the grounds is being prepared, airline tickets have been purchased, and we expect 2 artists in tomorrow, Friday, and as you will see, we already have 1 set in already. So in terms of stage, sound, light, power, a venue, artists, I think we're covered there.
Dr. Shyla Esprit from Create Caribbean Institute said the invitation to the Masquerade Band to come to Dominica was not solely for the Jazz and Creole Festival, but for educational purposes as well as for students with interests in music.
The initiative was really part of an academic exchange, and I have to kind of emphasize that at this moment, that this program is not just about jazz and Creole and music performance, but it's about music education, and that was very important to me and Create Caribbean Research Institute. Since they've been here, they have had a workshop with primarily high school students. Yesterday we hosted about 40 to 50, I would say about 50 students from various high schools across Dominica at Arawak House of Culture for a 2-hour music performance workshop.
Morris professor at the Western Michigan University and member of the Masquerade, Dr. Ria Olivas, said the opportunity to take part in jazz and Creole activities gives her great pleasure.
It really has been a pleasure to come home to participate and to facilitate a project of this sort. It's taken about 2.5 years for us to get here, and it's very exciting to come home to perform. I've had the opportunity, I've been blessed to perform in the United States as well as in Europe, and there's nothing like coming home to perform.
Fine Foods Inc. is also on board as a sponsor for this year's Jazz and Creole Festival. Following the main stage event, the Discover Dominica Authority will host an after-party at the Prince Rupert Tavern in Portsmouth. In more news, on Friday, May 22nd, models of all shapes wearing beautifully designed outfits will gather at the Harlem Plaza for an event titled Fashion Fete. The show, which will incorporate African Liberation Day themes, is being organized by nursing student and designer Soma Yokobi and seamstress and designer Glenda Samuel. Samuel told 767 News they have always wanted to host an event where local talent would be showcased.
We always had the vision of having a fashion show to just showcase local talent. So with the upcoming African Liberation Day, that would have been an ideal time to merge the cultures together, where Dominican artists, Dominican talent, and we also ended up having some other CARICOM talent and African talent involved in the show, would be able to come together and stage something. So we're doing the Fashion Fete the week leading up to African Liberation Day. So it is part of African Liberation Week that we're having the show. The show will be at the Harlem Plaza the Friday before Africa Wear Day. So it also gives persons in the audience and persons in the public a chance to purchase their African outfits at the show.
The show will include African print outfits designed and created by local designers and seamstresses.
We have 6 designers from Dominica, and most of the prints, they will be buying it in Dominica here. You know, like Astafari and Stupini, they have these African prints all out, so the designers have been shopping. Recently, I realized that African prints has been the trend. You know, like people make different things with African prints. They make this nice maxi skirt and they make it, you know, like African print is the trend now.
Samuel said during the show, the public will witness a variety of ways to utilize the traditional African print fabric to create their own outfits.
So what we've done with the show is created an array of designs that persons could use. Some of them will be fully African, some will be African merged with other fabric, no non-printed fabric. So it gives people an idea how you could really use the African fabric to get an African style. Or if you don't want an African style per se, but you just want the fabric, then you could actually create a simple dress but with the African material on there.
This year's Fashion Fête will be the first for the organizers, who hope to make it an annual event. The show will begin from 6 p.m. on Friday, May 22nd at the Harlem Plaza in Newtown. And that's it for local news. The latest in sports is coming up next with Larry LaRocque, so stay tuned.
Get up to 50% off on selected items in the Quartz Red Dot Sale. With deals on furniture and electronics all across the store. You can't miss out. Just look for the Red Dots in store for great deals. It's happening this month end from Wednesday 20th to Wednesday, May 27th. 7 days of super savings with deals priced to go. Offer applies to both cash and credit purchases. And you pay nothing down and nothing for 60 days with credit purchases 24 months and over. So hurry on down and don't you dare miss this Quartz Red Dot Sale. Quartz, bringing value home.
Good evening and welcome to 767 Sports. In tonight's coverage, we begin with cricket. Cricket action is on this weekend with matches in the various leagues of the Dominica Cricket Association, DCA. In the Digicel Augustus Gregor Premier League, on Saturday 23rd May and Sunday 24th May, Nagico Northern Stars will face Marino Blasters at Portsmouth. In the Fortune Hotel DCA Intermediate League, on Saturday 23rd May at the Botanic Gardens, Reuben Bakery Christians will face Grassroots Cricket Academy. In football, President of the Dominica Football Association, Glenn Etienne, says he is satisfied with the current progress of works at the FIFA-funded Goal 2 project in Stock Farm. He made the statement during a media tour of the facility on Wednesday, May 20th.
It's about 98% completed, and I'm talking of this phase, which is the second phase of the Goal project, about 98% completed. So we're expecting to be completed in the next, we can say 3 weeks, to be completed and maybe submit completion certificate to FIFA. So that itself is the second phase of the Goal project, and after the completion of this phase, we're expecting to go into the lights of the facility and the grassing part of it. We expect maybe by then to have the media back here, and we should be ready to maybe kick a ball by somewhere in August or September of this year.
Etienne said work on the second phase of the project, which is now 98% complete, commenced in February of 2014. The 2% remaining involves the sealing of the recycled stands, which were donated by the government of Dominica from the old netball stadium in Stock Farm. Although using the stands saved the project a considerable amount of funds, it resulted in numerous leaks in the stands. However, this issue is being addressed.
With the playing service now, football cannot be played. We have had discussion with Mr. Elwin, which is a consultant for regrassing of this ground. We're expecting to start work maybe in the next month or even less than that, start work in terms of the actual playing surface. I mean, you might see it brown now, but it's just a matter of a couple more weeks so we can start work on this playing surface.
Are you satisfied with the progress that of which the works are being completed?
Oh, definitely. I'm very, very satisfied with the works that have been done here in the second part of Goal 2. And I mean, it's just like I said, in the next couple of months we will be looking at the lightings and the regrassing of the ground. But I must say that I'm very satisfied with the contractors and the consultant of the work that is done at present on the Goal 2 project.
Etienne said a FIFA development officer who was recently on the island and toured the project also expressed his satisfaction in the progress thus far. The DFA president said the football clubs will also benefit financially from the facility when completed.
We decided to give them a percentage from the gate. So in other words then, maybe 20% of the gate receipts will be given back to the various the teams on show at a particular game at the venue.
Etienne said the facility, viewed as a home for football, will aid in improving the level of football on the island. The facility is estimated to cost US $250,000. And that's it for tonight's sportscast. Tune in again tomorrow for more sports.
That was Larry with the latest in sports. Now for a recap of tonight's headline stories. A staggering 45 cases of sexual misconduct reported so far for the year 2015, but officials says unreported cases are more of a concern. 100% portable water coverage anticipated for September of 2015, and Chairman of the Public Works Board of Directors defends not signing MOU on Public Works Corporation issues. In sports, DFA President expresses satisfaction with Goal 2 project. And that's all the time we have for tonight. Until tomorrow, drop us an email at media@767news.dm. Friend us on Facebook and be sure to like our 767 News page. From all of us on the 767 News production team, I'm Alicia George, wishing you a wonderful evening and thanks for watching.